Hey, happy Friday, everyone. It's January 16th, 2026. I'm Rich Tola, and here's what's cooking for today. One topic only. We're going to be talking about how to fix education in America because it's broken, it's troubled, and we're going to be talking about that. But first, how's it going with your ABCs, right? A, your all body workout. I had a great workout today. B, your blissful sleep. Not so good for me last night. Of course, still working on that. And C, colorful diet. I nailed it. Well, to quote the late, great, and legendary Meatloaf, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. For me, at least. That was 1977. Bad Out of Hell album. Let me tell you, man, I think that's one of the best albums ever made, but that's just me. All right, where's my little bell here? All right, hold on. Here we go. All right. So, what are we talking about today? Education in America. Why is it failing? It is failing. It's troubled. I wrote a book on it, The Sub Tales of an Inner City Teacher. It's an outsider's view inside America's troubled educational system because it's troubled. Can we fix it? How do we fix it? That's what we're going to talk about today. All right. But first, let me say this. Been thinking about it, right? What are the 5 elements of success? You can come up with your own, but these are mine. 1, desire. 2, discipline. 3, consistency of effort. 4, accountability to yourself, most likely. And 5, sacrifice. Those 5 things: desire, discipline, consistency of effort, accountability, and sacrifice. Now, I didn't say the word education, right? Believe it or not, you don't have to be educated to be successful. Pretty much in most things. Certain professions require it, right? Doctors, lawyers, etc. But most do not. Professional athletes. Education matters without a doubt. But is it necessary to be the number one student? Give you a little background. My father, I come from a Sicilian family. My father was the boss. He was the boss. He made it clear we were disciplined. And I showed an ability for education, whatever, smart kid, curious kid. So he made me study. I couldn't come out of my room until I finished my homework. We had homework every day. So because of that, finished number 2 in my high school class. And my guidance counselor told me, don't apply to University of Pennsylvania, Ivy League school, because nobody from this school goes there. Don't apply, you won't get in. Well, guess what? I got in. Ended up going to University of Pennsylvania, Wharton School. Graduated there with like a 3.4 average, and ended up going to Kellogg School of Management over at Northwestern University. Both of those schools are number 1. Well, how did that happen? Desire, discipline, consistency of effort, accountability, and sacrifice. I was studying at Penn. Let me tell you, I lived across the hall. Scott and there was 2 guys that lived across the hall, Paul and Scott, and they knew I would study for 12 hours a day because you got to make the sacrifice no matter what it is. LeBron James didn't become great by, walking onto the court and just playing. No, you got to make the sacrifices. So let me make an analogy here because I was thinking about this. Like, how do we do this? We were talking about weight loss the other day. I don't know if you watched the episode. And what does it take to really kind of stay within a weight zone, or how to drink from the fountain of youth? To me, I've always wanted to look 20 years younger, but it's all the above. It's those 5 things, right? Look at this. We know I don't know if you saw this, but since 1990, the average person, that's 35 years ago, the average person, man or woman, has gained 20 pounds on average. So we've kind of gone up. What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. It has no real meaning, right? Other than we're not being successful as a society in keeping our weight down to where it was 35 years ago. That's all that means. Okay, whatever. What does that mean? But let's use an example. If you eat a 3-pound chocolate cake every day, and then you get on the scale every day, like I do, I get on the scale every single day. What's going to happen? What are the results going to be? It's going to get worse. The scale's going to go up, right? That's obvious. If you're eating a 3-pound cake, I wish I could eat a 3-pound cake every day, but I do not, because I know the scale is going to go up. What do you expect? You can't expect results If you want the results of your weight going down, you got to make the sacrifice. You got to cut the food intake, like I said. You got to eat half as much. You got to be hungry all the time. That's the way it goes. The only way I keep my weight under 150 pounds is by sacrificing. I have to make that sacrifice. It's challenging, but I do it. So what do we do? So what's the solution? It's like school. What's the you know what I say? I say throw away the scale. What do you need the scale for? If you're going to eat 3 pounds of chocolate cake every day, there's no point in getting on the scale. Throw that thing away. It makes no difference whatsoever. Well, I'm going to say it's the same thing for education, public education in the United States. Now, guys, I taught in the inner city market. I taught there for 5 years as a substitute teacher. I was an outsider who loves education. I did everything I could possibly to inspire these kids to do the work, to apply themselves, those 5 principles, right? The problem is you can't expect to get good results if we keep letting these kids shirk their educational responsibilities, right? They get away with murder. Experience that. It's not the teachers. So here's what happens. You push these kids to the next level without them properly learning what's necessary in the grade. So if you're in first grade and you're not learning how to read, by the time you get to second grade, that teacher's overwhelmed. That teacher can't go back and be a first grade teacher and a second grade teacher to the kid who didn't learn in first grade, but we're pushing them through. We're just pushing them through. It's almost like if it doesn't really matter on the level of the student's ability, you just got to go to second grade, third grade, fourth grade. I had a 5th grade kid. I write this in the book. This kid, he couldn't speak English, couldn't read or write in English. He couldn't read or write in Spanish. He could only speak Spanish. He couldn't tell time. He was in 5th grade. I went down to the principal. I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. This kid belongs in kindergarten. She goes, no, he doesn't. I said, what are you talking about? She says, well, they told me he's in. I said, who's they? His parents? I said, that's absurd. Why are we pushing a kid through? Well, guess what? We have a problem. We can't keep him in first grade over and over and over again, because next thing you know, the class is going to be 50 people. 60, 100 people. But why not? Why not make it so that in order to progress, you got to properly pass the course? Well, that's not what's happening. Let me read you something, because this chapter here, I call this chapter 4, O student, where art thou? When you look up the word student in the dictionary, it has 2 parts. 1, a person formally engaged in learning, especially one enrolled in a school or college. And 2, any person who studies, investigates, or examines thoughtfully. And since this definition directly pertains to the innumerable students I've taught, I can confidently say that part 1 is totally correct, while part 2, well, that's another story. That's right. Every student I've taught was formally engaged in learning, but unfortunately, they weren't actually studying, investigating, or examining thoughtfully. Now, don't get me wrong. There are definitely a small percentage of students who did apply themselves and did the work asked and required of them, but definitely not most. O student, where art thou? Meaning, whatever happened to the ultimate quest for knowledge and desire to expand your mind and the world outside your little neighborhood through learning? Naturally, times have changed since my primary education years, when I had one of the best motivators in the world teaching me. But it's not simply motivation that makes a good student. It's way more than that. It's definitely way more than that, right? So I'm on LinkedIn the other day, and I see this post. Let me read it to you. It's the NAEP, National Assessment of Educational Progress. You can read about it in edweek.org. It's the nation's report card, pretty much. All right. Let me read you what I saw, because that was something that kind of jumped out at me, which gave me the inspiration to do this topic on the show today, right? This post, it says, on the 2024 NAEP Mathematics Assessment for 8th grade, a commonly used benchmark for middle school math, only 28% of students scored at or above the proficient level in math. That means roughly 72% did not meet the proficiency standards, indicating many are behind grade level expectations on this measure. No kidding. All right. It says 20% of students just get it and always have. And the remaining 80% of students, well, we still need to cover too many topics and we still teach math by procedures that make no sense. So this was someone's opinion over here, right? So again, how do we fix it? The system is broken, without a doubt. It's troubled in America. So how do we fix it? All right. Better teachers? No. The teachers are doing their job. They're learning to teach and they're struggling with classroom management for sure. Hey, number two, better parents? Yeah, well, of course, but good luck with that, right? Number three, longer school hours. Good luck with that. That's not going to work. I proposed in a previous show, I think we should go to school for 210 days a year to replace the 180 days. So shorter class days, but more days to make up the same amount of time. So same amount of hours that you're going to be teaching these kids, but spread it out longer. Keep them learning throughout the year so that they don't go brain dead in the summer. What about this? Number four, rules and consequences for students. Yeah, sure. I talk about that in my book as well, but good luck with that. That's not going to happen. So what do we do? All right. What about this? What about removing all the bad apple students? You know how many bad apples? I call them bad apples because these kids are trouble. The kid doesn't learn in fifth grade. What that kid does 100% of the time, in my experience, that these kids that don't learn the proficiency, by the time they get to third, fourth, fifth grade, they're the trouble students. Why? Because they're insecure. These other kids are trying to learn. I've had kids cry in class saying, I hate this class. I can't learn anything because teachers are too busy trying to manage the class. I propose 2 teachers in every class. I believe that. One to manage and one to teach, and one to work with the kids that are way behind because the teacher's overloaded. The teacher's burning out. Oh, let me tell you, I'm going to read another little passage from here. But here we go. What do? We overhaul the system. We got to overhaul. I think we have to overhaul the system, which has a lot of ramifications to it. But these 3 things. 1, we change the curriculum because the curriculum is not pertinent to what's going on in society today. You could become a billionaire. Mr. Beast is a billionaire and he's on YouTube. What about these TikTokers? You could have a whole life and a career without even going. I don't know where education applies to that, really. Number 2, we got to separate the real and successful students, I call them, the ones that are doing the work, from the non-real bad apple ones. We got to get rid of the bad apples. What happens when you have bad apples in a basket? They all go bad. They all lose because these kids, the bad apple ones, and I talk about it in the book, a bad apple kid can become a good apple kid. You're not writing them off. You just have to separate them out, put them in a different program. I say a vocational school. I talk about all these different things. Learn how to be a barber, learn how to be an electrician, a carpenter. There's so many other things that where does education come in? You have to educate them to skills that they can apply in the neighborhoods where they live. Again, I taught inner city. These kids aren't leaving the neighborhood. They're not going to college. But that's what you do because bad apples ruin the whole darn bunch. That's obvious, right? And number 3, get rid of these standardized tests. Honestly, I think they become worthless. It's like throw away the scale. Throw away these tests and let me read you this and we'll finish with this. I get fired up because I really care. I really care about education. Now this chapter, and I love this chapter here. This is one of my favorites. Chapter 14. If it ain't broke, fix it because it's broke. All right. So I say, speaking of standardized tests, I remember this one time in New Jersey when a 3rd grader was so petrified at taking the last standardized test of the year. There were several each year taking 3 days to administer that she stood there crying in front of the classroom while I tried to console her. I had to be 6 feet away. It was a whole COVID thing, right? And I'm telling you, really nice girl, one of the best, really attentive kid, but she was petrified. She said her biggest fear was that her mom was going to punch her in the face on a stack of Bibles. She said this to me. My mom's going to punch me in the face if she didn't do well on the test and pass to the fourth grade. Because her mom thought by not doing well on this rather difficult standardized test that her daughter was stupid and would have to retake third grade, which was not true at all, and which really pissed me off. So I said, "You're not stupid, sweetie. Just because you didn't learn something yet doesn't mean you're never going to learn it at all. It's like tying your shoes or adding 2 plus 2." I said, "Remember when you couldn't do them? But you weren't stupid. You just hadn't learned them yet." That's probably the only time I ever wanted to call out a parent. Let me say that again. Probably the only time I ever wanted to call a parent and really call them out. I mean, this occurred. This, without a doubt, this occurred. Okay. And here's what else I want to say. I met this teacher. Something else I want to read. All right. So this is another teacher who was standing in the hallway one day, and she goes, "I want you to sub my class because I got a reputation of a guy who really cared. I really gave a shit about whether these kids learned because I felt bad for them. And they're taking these tests and they're all stressed out." So she was an AP English teacher, right? And it says here, AP English teacher with a penchant for reading to her class. She confided in me that she was leaving the school after 10 years there to go work for the Department of Education. She had a passion for education and inspiring children, but over the past 5 years, she had become extremely disappointed and stressed with the steady decline and downslide of her students. More specifically, their attitude, aptitude, and desire to learn, as well as the overall lack of support from the school's administration, whatever that meant. She was moving on. The last thing she said to me was this: 10 years ago, I had a 25-year plan to teach high school, and my students were reading Shakespeare. Today, I can't even get them to read the comics. That is true. It's a challenge for these teachers. I talk about that. They're burnt out. They're overwhelmed. There's one teacher in a classroom. You got 3 or 4 kids fighting in the back. I remember teaching a math class one time. It was 9th grade. I had 5 kids fighting in the back. I said, "Yo, you 5, get out of my class." I go, "I want to teach the rest. They want to learn something." They're like arguing, screaming, yelling. They're not even paying attention to me. I had to call security 3 times. That's the truth. 3 times I finally said, "Listen, what am I doing here? This is a waste of time. Here I am trying to teach the kids that want to learn, and these people are ruining it. They can't learn with these bozos in the back." I didn't say that, but I said they can't learn with these kids causing chaos in my classroom. And let me tell you, I was a sub. Well, wow. Anyway, get all fired up, guys, because there is a solution. But what are these tests doing? Yeah, you want to keep getting on the scale when you're eating a 3-pound cake? Well, good luck. It's not going to go down. You think these scores are going to go up? Well, how are they going to go up when these kids, we're challenged? So we have to fix it, because I think that's important. Why? It's important for the kids who want to learn. Like me, I love learning. That kid's getting robbed of an education because of the bad apples are ruining it for everyone else. Anyway, there we go. I get passionate and fired up over it. I believe we can make a difference for society. We have to. We have to be better as a society. All right, guys, that's it for today. As always, get your workout in. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday. Peace.